are things?
Things are great.
Great. Thank you for doing this, man. Do you have like a 3 weeks off until this Milwaukee show?
Yeah, and I mean not off. I'm finishing the album, so it's never
Are
off.
you? Okay,
But
okay,
it's off from tour. Yeah.
okay, good. So that's a little take a breath, right?
Yeah. I think, wait, I don't know if Milwaukee's the first. We have like a couple of these Christmas shows that we're doing. So I don't actually know if Milwaukee's the first one.
Yeah, I just on there. Well, let's you brought it up. The how's the album going?
Good, finally.
Uh, Did you obviously probably had to take some time off while you're touring to or do you do it on the road? Do you kind of work on it on the road? Do you have a
We do a lot of it on the road because we
okay.
spend so much time on the road, and it doesn't really make sense for us to take as much time off to write as we need.
Yeah.
So we have to do a lot from the road. Yeah.
I love what's come out already. We've been playing Detroit, and my God, the video for that. You guys always do such great job with videos, but that video I loved. And speaking of while on tour, you talk about how you're working on the album and there's a part where you need the crowd to sing along, but they haven't heard the song yet, I suppose,
Right.
at that point.
Yeah.
So you're kind of coaching them, but I love that the video stops for it and explains it. I think it's a much more raw, much more fun of a video because of that, rather than
Oh,
just
thank you.
throwing it in there going, oh, we premiered this song and amazingly and magically 1,500 people knew the word lyrics. You
Right, 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 right.
stop and you're like, we're going to pull back the old Wizard of Oz curtain a little bit and show you how this thing is made.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Actually, I didn't even consider that. That yeah, some other bands might just put the shot of the crowd singing it just because it looks good.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
I,
I thought that was a cool part of the story of the song was that we wrote it that day, and we recorded the crowd singing it. Yeah.
yeah, I think there's some like really beautiful honesty to that, which I think a lot of bands might have just gone ahead and go, nope, we're throwing it in like they all know the song.
Right, right, right.
That's a kind of a conscious thing. Detroit, by the way, also, and I probably wouldn't say this if you guys have been around for 3 or 4 or 5 years, but a decade plus together, that song is very meaningful, and I think it gives you a good read into you guys as a whole, the band's kind of mentality, and it's really a beautiful song.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it is. I think it perfectly encapsulates how we feel after the waves up and down of success. And yeah, it's a weird thing. It is a strange feeling to get the things that you wanted. And
Yeah,
it's like it almost sounds entitled to talk about that because we have our dream jobs, we have the best lives ever. But it's true. Like I was just talking to my girlfriend about this last night. I set my goals too low, I think. And so when I reached them, I was like, what the hell do I do? I should have set
yeah,
them way higher, but I set them too
no,
low. And so I reached all my goals. Now I'm like,
that
I
makes
got to make
sense.
new ones.
No,
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of people. It's a careful what you wish for. It's
Yeah.
very much that. And I don't think not everybody you encounter in life reaches their goals or makes goals. I think some
Right.
people, you can just kind of live a life and do wonderful things along the way, but there's not a brass ring to reach for. And when you do, there is, maybe a short window of satisfaction. But at the same time, again, most bands aren't around for 10 years either. And you guys
Mm.
are now two albums, two EPs in. You've seen a lot of miles, and also congratulations on 2024 headlining all these shows with Mizio and Slow Rust, which I think is really cool. Mizio is kind of always a fun band to see, but I think that you guys sound really good together when I kind of not see all three of you in one night, but just listening and knowing your music, I think it works out really well.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it was great. It was a really cool package. Yeah.
Handpicked by you guys, or was how did it come together?
Sloth Rust was handpicked, and then Missio was suggested, and we were like, would they do it? Because
Yeah,
I'd known about Missio for a long. They've been around, I think, longer than we have.
for
I
a
think.
while. Yeah, we've been
Yeah,
playing.
for a long time. So
Yeah.
I've known about Missio forever, and I was like, if they'll do it, absolutely, and
Uh,
they did it.
That being said, going back to Detroit a little bit, and your goals. This is something very unique, and I don't talk to a lot of people that have this situation. How do you not repeat or change what it was already popular? Ghost, for example. To
Mm,
not go in and do something kind of ghost sounding, but instead doing Detroit, which is a very kind of a big step away from Ghost. It takes a lot to not want to just repeat what works.
I mean, actually, it's the opposite for us. It's harder. Like sometimes we go in and we think we need another Ghost, which is a
Yeah.
bad way to think. But sometimes we think that like we need another song that's like that. But Ghost was written about a very specific feeling that I don't feel anymore. And so trying to force that and force that mood and that vibe, it wouldn't work. I've tried.
Yeah.
I tried really hard actually,
Yeah.
and it just didn't work. And so we found that we're usually rewarded in our careers when we just do what feels right in that moment.
That being said, like what would a couple years from now be after Detroit where you're just going, everything's great, everything's perfect.
I mean,
Maybe.
I don't think I'm capable of thinking that way. I think after 34 years on this planet, I don't think I can do that. But um, the ups and like the high and low emotions definitely start to mellow out a little bit,
Yeah.
which is another struggle. Like it's so much easier to write when you have these extremes, and I think the older people get it for it's a good thing. We're not as chaotic the way that we think. We sort of level out. We become who we are, and that's not good for an artist. So that's another thing that I'm
Great.
constantly trying to force myself to be something like to feel more intensely than I do, to feel everything more intensely than I do, and to try to make it feel like every emotion that I feel is the first time I'm feeling it. It's
Also
hard.
kind of being in the now as well, which I feel like Detroit very much does. It's you
Mm.
guys in 2024, 2022, 23. Uh, but it's going to be interesting here in Milwaukee on the 11th of December. You guys are going to be opening up for Cage the Elephant, which is another band that I'm excited to see you guys play together with in one night. I think that's going to be.
Yeah.
Have you hung out? Have you met? Have you toured with them?
No, we did a festival once, and I embarrassingly walked up to them during like a catering, and I was like, "I'm a big fan. I love your stuff." Years ago. So, but that was the only that was the only time we've met them. Cage the Elephant's like a bucket list band for us to tour with,
I
to
love
play
them.
with. So I'm
I
hoping after this show it goes well, and maybe there's more stuff in the future. We'll see.
uh
They do it. That band does make sense. I think
yeah.
makes a lot of sense for us to tour with them.
You're also now you're one step away from Oasis since they're opening up for Oasis next year. You
Oh,
could
are they? I didn't
yeah,
even know that.
yeah, they're doing all the North American tour with opening up for Oasis.
Oh, that's sick.
So they're gonna I'm sure their minds are gonna be elsewhere. So when you say you're a big fan, I guarantee you they'll probably be saying that same thing to Oasis going, "Oh, why do we say that?" You're like, "What?"
Yeah, but I think everyone has better sense than to talk to either of the Gallaghers. I don't think.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
I
sure
don't
they
think.
think them.
Yeah, I think if you have nothing, if you're not like working with them and you're just a fan, I think all of us would be smart enough to stay away and just
Yeah,
just
you're
keep
not
our
gonna get a
distance.
look or anything.
And,
What are other bands throughout the years that I'm not saying fell in love with, but it sounded so good, on a tour. The band was awesome. You're kind of just like, I hope we become friends from ever and ever and ever. Any bands that stand out?
ooh, I mean, Dead Poet Society, and we became friends. Yeah, I remember I like to believe I discovered that band just scrolling on Instagram forever ago. And I saw a video of them and they were just doing stuff with guitars that I had never heard a rock band do. It was like dubstep rock. It was like the weirdest, coolest
Yeah,
thing. And and immediately after that, we reached out and asked if they wanted to do a show with us in Nashville, and they flew out to Nashville to do it. And then we did multiple tours and became friends, and now they're crushing it and they're doing great. I'm hopefully you're playing their music.
Uh, I believe we are on our
Better
annual.
be.
Yes, yes.
Okay, good.
That
Yeah, that
being
was the
said,
band that like blew us away when we saw them live, and then we just we wanted to play with them as much as possible.
is any band helping you out with this album? Any featured
No,
friends in here? No, just all you
no,
guys.
we
Okay.
don't we don't do that stuff.
No, you're like that shit's for other people. You're like,
Yeah, I've always been pretty unless it happens organically, unless like you're truly friends with somebody and you decide to write a song together and it's awesome. I
yeah,
think that the collab thing it gets very it feels very forced at times where it's like yeah well we're it's like a
great.
marketing move more so than a creative move and that's I don't love that.
Especially when you have like two or three songs with people featured on there, then I
Yeah,
think it probably feels like it's less your album and
right,
a little tin
exactly.
can.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Uh,
no collabs, not yet. Not
uh,
yet.
anything really different from the first two albums on this album? And in how you made it, not breaking it down song by song, but I mean
Yeah, I
compiling
was
it.
so I was sober for the
Okay.
first time ever,
Congrats, man.
which is entirely. No, I'm not like I don't like
Yeah.
wear that
Yeah.
as a bad. I'm not like I didn't do AA or anything like that.
Yeah.
I just used to not be able to write music sober. I had to be on various
Okay.
things to get me
Yeah.
there, and that wasn't working for me after a while, and so that's probably why it took so long for us to get going on this third album is because I couldn't figure out how to do that. But I knew
Really?
I had to because I tried to do it the old way and I was like, this isn't working either. Like nothing was working. Um so yeah, it's a sober one, which I don't know. It's weird. I'm probably more insecure about it because it was a sober record. When I
Really?
was because when I was doing that, I was just like blindly confident. I was like, this
Yeah.
is the greatest thing ever. And
Well, yeah, that's
yeah,
the
which is
emotion that goes with it,
yeah,
That's
which
you.
works. And now I have these moments where I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is the greatest thing that we've done. And then I'll wake up the next morning and be like, no, this is definitely the worst thing we've done. And so it's just, I can't possibly know, but at some point I have to just I have to let it out into the world. And so that's where we're at. Yeah.
Well, you beat me to it. The morning after is always the reckoning of it. Well, at the time, it was genius. It was brilliant last night, this morning,
Yeah.
1 a.m., and then you wake up and then you either play it for somebody else or you listen to it and you go, oh, what the fuck was that? You're like, that doesn't even, those aren't even the same things. Uh,
Yeah.
but it happens like that with a lot. I've been guilty of that where I went to bed with, well, I'm glad I emailed that to myself. I'm glad I texted myself that genius idea. And also you go, the next day you go, no. You're like, I'm glad I did not put that out in the world at all. But
Yeah.
that is interesting. But the other weird art that I am fascinated by, and I am not a musician myself at all, but in the track list, when you list out the songs, how songs are arranged to me is a really interesting art that some
Mhm.
people take a ton of times doing, and some people go, this album wrote itself, and it just like boom, 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 like Lego pieces. Starting with the right track, ending with the right track, this, segueing between, not losing energy, building energy. All that stuff to me is as fascinating. And it's not as big of a deal now because you're kind of a lot of, people live off singles and love
Mhm.
singles. But when you get the whole album and sit down or drive for like an hour straight and you listen to this album all the way through, that's when I go, oh wow, that just pulled the fucking rug out from underneath. And now there's this song. Um,
Yeah.
was it time consuming or did it kind of feel pretty natural?
We're still in that now.
Okay.
That's our
Okay.
band text thread now is literally right now is
Oh
each
wow.
person's track
Okay.
listing. I think that, yeah. So we're like in the middle of that phase. And it's hard. It's really difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it a democracy or how does the is it votes?
Yeah. Yeah, kind of.
Or is it like a court is it like a court case where you have to kind of plead your case going track 4 into track 5 sounds like garbage and track and you're like you're gonna end with that? You're like, are you insane? Are you gonna ruin this whole album? Is it dramatic or is it less so? Am I making it more
I
dramatic?
don't know yet because I haven't chimed in yet.
Oh, okay. This is I love this. This is
Yeah, so our thread right now is the three of them have put their ideas for a list in, and I looked at all three of them and I'm like, no, no, no.
okay.
So I
Awesome.
went. We'll see how dramatic it gets when I chime in with my idea. We'll
Awesome.
see.
I love hearing that. I'm glad that I'm
Yeah.
not alone in the putting a lot of time into something good. That's so it's probably not the hardest part of the new album, but it's certainly up there.
Oh, it's not the hardest part. No,
No.
not even.
Well, thank you so much for the time. Really looking forward to seeing you on the 11th of December here in Milwaukee, the Rave Ballroom with Cage the Elephant opening. It's going to be a great night, man.
Hell yeah, we're very excited.
Excellent. Appreciate the time and good luck. Good luck with your track listing.
Thank you very much. See you
Hope you do it
soon.
right. Take care.
Bye.